is not really what happened. And he introduced me to this thing called the hydroplate theory. And it was so fascinating. I watched a few videos about it, and I don't know enough to know whether it's correct or not, but I know enough to know that this ought to be heard. In fact, this, to me at least, makes just as much sense, if not more, as the plate tectonics theory, and it seems to be pretty in line with the evidence and with what the Bible teaches. Our guest today to discuss all this is Brian Lauer. He's a biblical creation researcher. He's given talks on creation and freedom talks from Minnesota to Florida at churches, schools, colleges, conferences. You can find some of those talks on the Solidify Your Faith YouTube channel, and then the ones that would otherwise be censored are over at Revival of Truth channel on Rumble. Brian, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And it's such a pleasure. And I appreciate the microphone to get all these different ideas out there. So great job. I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you trying to sound the alarm about this. I think a lot of Christians just say, well, that's secondary, and I'm just worried about Jesus. And, I understand that thinking. But I do think also that we as Christians have an obligation to try to understand things from a scriptural point of view, from a scientific point of view. And I don't believe those two are in conflict with each other. I know you don't either. Brian, let's start with these discoveries that were made on the asteroids. You mentioned the serpentine that lend credence to this hydroplate theory. Talk about these discoveries and why that's relevant to this discussion.
Yeah, an asteroid Bennu, they found serpentine, and that basically, they imagine this watery planet that was going through space that exploded. And the serpentine, and they even show the map of the mid-oceanic ridge, which is a key component in the hydroplate, because that's where we say the water shot up from. And they said that it formed there, and they imagine a watery planet. And then there's a little clip. I was on Real Science Radio, and Doug Williams says, what you've just seen here is a victim of the government education system. They won't even consider that comet or that asteroid came from Earth. And there's been accurate predictions with the hydroplate theory. They predicted they'd find rounded boulders in comets and asteroids, and Comet 67P validated that. And then they also said that asteroids would be flying rock piles and loosely held together, and that's what they are. And NASA was wrong both times. Kevin Lee is an expert on this, and we're going to be giving a hydroplate seminar on Standing for Truth. So if anybody wants more detail, that's on YouTube, Standing for Truth. It's a theory that makes accurate predictions. NASA discoveries are validating it, and yet it's being kicked to the curb by evolutionists and creationists alike. And I'm trying to bring it into the mainstream so we can destroy the Big Bang once and for all.